There is a kind of education that does not come with a diploma. School matters, training matters, credentials matter, but they are not the only way people learn. For many local business owners and working professionals, experience becomes its own classroom. Today we're talking about experience, not experience versus education, but experience as education. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the principles of education, and today we're talking street smarts. We're talking what can you learn only by doing that you can't really learn in practice, and what are the ways to know if the experience that you're getting is applicable. Do y'all have street smarts? Are you smart on the street?
Yeah, man, I'm from the streets.
You're from the street?
No, I just found out that I don't. And I found out because I was talking to HR and I got
I love the conversation.
this was just insurance
chatting.
Yes. And I got on a vision plan, and I should have known better because you can't insure against something you know is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no risk to mitigate.
Right.
There's no probability, there's no transfers. So it turns out the vision plan that I'm on, and I should have asked the question, I thought, oh, sure, I'll just get a free pair of glasses for my wife when she needs them because she gets glasses. No, you have to go to a specific provider, and then you have to get the glasses through a specific provider, and the prices are marked up.
Of course.
So by the end, it actually costs just as much, if not more, than if I had just gone and done it myself. And I was like, that was stupid. That was just dumb.
Not to talk about healthcare in the United States, but that is what a lot of people are doing, which is seeing how much does this physical and labs cost without insurance?
Yeah. So that's, and this is, I'm totally going down.
I don't know if it's a rabbit hole because you don't know it unless you've experienced it.
Well, that is true. Excellent point, because this is going to go to, so this is the last episode, I promise, where I'm going to have laws of something.
No more, it's lawless after.
It is totally lawless after this. But I do have the law of the false pattern. That's what you get from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
And the law of the false pattern is, there's one catch. Experience can teach you stuff, but sometimes it teaches you the wrong thing, and you are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
So we have really gotten into this mindset that insurance should make everything I go do cheaper. And the reality is, insurance cannot make something cheaper if everybody agrees it's going to happen. There is no such thing as buying insurance in order to get a cheaper annual visit that both I and the insurance company know I'm going to have to buy, because it's a given expense. It's always going to happen. Having the insurance company actually causes there to be more overhead.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't insure things like annual medical visits. We might have the government might have a incentive program to make sure you go do it because you don't want bigger disease down the road. But having insurance just adds an extra layer of cost. The only thing you want to insure against are things like cancer, where I can pick 1,000 people.
You might not, yeah.
One of them's going to get it. It's going to be $1 million for that one person, but the rest of us bear the burden for that.
You don't want yawning insurance, because everyone's going to yawn eventually.
Yeah, and just having insurance for that just runs up the cost of yawning.
What about life insurance?
Life insurance is a gamble on when you're going to die. Yeah, not if.
And the more time you spend on the streets, the more your chances. I don't know. I'm trying to bring it back.
So I think the lesson there is you, in your experience, hopefully as you're doing these things, I'm going to do two laws here. One is the false pattern, the law of the false pattern, and that's where you get sunk into, I have to have insurance and it should make everything cheaper, and you don't really go back and look at it academically and do the numbers and figure it out. And then there's what I call the law of the bruise. So you don't really learn things until you pay the cost for it.
Yeah.
And so here's a situation where I finally did the math. And so on my vision plan, the real reason I was doing it is my daughter was turning 26. She was going to be getting off insurance.
Mm.
We were going to cut. So I thought we'll get her contacts. So I priced it out. I was like, oh, wow, this insurance costs me more money.
Yeah.
And so now I've had a bruise from that and I won't do it again.
Now, I'll say this because I think those two laws are individual laws, but also they're connected because there's plenty of situations where you go to school to learn something, you get in the real world and you get the bruise. And then you go, I'm not hashtag Roger Daltrey. We won't get fooled. We don't get fooled again. I'm not going to let that bruise happen. And then
okay, wait, just for fans like me that aren't Daughtry fans, I'm going to move it to Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again.
Oops, I did it again. We say, oops, I'm not going to do it again. And so you get set in your ways. And there does sometimes need to be moments in order to break out of that pattern, that toxic pattern, hashtag Britney Spears, that you say, wait a second. Yes, this hurt before, but things evolve, things change, and let me try it. So that's that law of patterns. Sometimes you have to allow yourself to heal. You have to allow those bruises to heal, which is hard because, like I said, you would feel like, that guy kicked me. I'm never going to let that happen again.
Yeah, and if Britney Spears wants us to do the podcast at one of her concerts, we will.
We'll do it live.
The bounce rate. What were you going to say, James?
No, I just like, what was it? Law of the false positive?
Pattern.
False pattern.
Yep.
I do see that a lot, right? I mean, there's no doubt experience is the true test, right? It's a true path to education, but you're also limited to the environment, right? And you see that a lot where someone's in a good environment, things have gone right for years and years and years, and they believe a certain process works until it doesn't, right?
Right.
So,
or you think that problem's already solved. I'm not going
Right.
to think about it again.
Yeah, 100%.
Has anyone had a situation like this where you have to have foreign language credits in school? And so technically speaking, I took 4 high school years of Spanish, 2 college years of Spanish. When I first had my job, I was communicating with people who only spoke in Spanish, and I said, I got this. I've been taking Spanish now for 6 years, over half a decade, almost a decade, and they had no idea what I was saying.
That's a good experience. That's a good one because I took Spanish like you in high school and college. And when I really learned some Spanish was when I was in a restaurant.
Yeah.
In the back end of the restaurant.
Right.
And everybody just spoke Spanish all the time. I started picking it up and using it. Before that, yeah, I didn't know. I could say hi and what's your name. And then they go, blah, 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 and I have no idea. Sorry if that's insulting, but
he's talking. Also, just to clarify, James has a large Spanish-speaking family, right?
Yes, my wife's mom is from Guatemala, so
Yeah.
she's half Guatemalan.
So this is.
But I mean, I would go. I'm a surfer, and I love surfing. I've spent a lot of time in, I call it Latin America, Costa Rica, Mexico,
Central America,
Nicaragua, Central America.
Yeah.
But yeah, you realize it's funny because you go ask for direct. You're like in the city, and you're like, hey, you're fumbling through some Spanish very slowly, trying to figure out where something is, and they look at you, and they're like,
And then
like
they go fast.
you heard me like
Yeah,
fumbling
right.
through this.
Right.
Like you think I'm gonna understand that?
And it's interesting because what is street smarts if not immersion therapy? If not, because they say you really can't learn a language unless you are immersed among people speaking it, and you really can't gain experience unless you're actually immersed in it doing it. And it is scary by design to be immersed in something that you only know in theory, but you're just figuring out one step at a time.
I'm going to test y'all's Spanish. Are you ready? And I have just an academic. I took a few years in high school.
Yeah.
I think I took 2 semesters in college. And so here we go. Are you ready? And you'll have to forget the accent. Que anda con una pata.
So one more time.
Que anda con una pata.
It's
Anda is andar, which is to walk. What walks con una pata?
on what walks on one foot?
One leg, like pata is typically a leg of a
Leg.
chair.
Okay. What walks on one foot?
Yeah, on a leg or a
What
leg of-
walks on one leg?
the leg of a chair or something like that.
Is this the Sphinx riddle?
This is a riddle.
No, here's the answer. Un pato. So the way it translates to English, and this is why it's one of my favorite jokes ever, is what walks with the leg of a chair? A male duck. Because in Spanish, un pato is a male duck. A
Okay.
female duck is una pata. So it's a play, it's a pun off of pata and pato. Now, it clearly does not translate, which is one of the reasons I love it. However, I especially with indoor media, I've gone down to a lot of different Spanish-speaking countries. We've gone to Costa Rica, we've gone to Mexico, we've gone to Puerto Rico, all these places. And every place that I go or when I meet somebody that speaks Spanish, I try this joke out because it is literally the only Spanish I really remember. That and a couple other proverbs. So I tell this, and one of two things inevitably happens. They go, oh yeah, I say, ¿Qué onda con una pata? And they say, un pato. Because in many countries, it is the equivalent of why did the chicken cross the road?
Oh.
It is a
Okay.
standard joke that country has taught all of their 4-year-olds,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay.
and they're pretty excited about it. Or they're like, I don't know, what are you talking about? And I say, un pato. Yeah, okay.
You know,
They're like, okay, guy.
that you raised
Tourist guy.
actually a good point adjacent to street smarts, because the other thing about street smarts and gaining experience is feeling a sense of connection with other people that have the same experience
Yes.
and saying, we're in on this inside joke because we know this amount of Spanish, we know this amount of English, and it all fits together. I've certainly experienced that whenever I have had a rough go of it. I meet someone else had a rough go of it, and I go, all right, I can trust this guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the way I kind of categorize that is I call it the law of the shortcut. It's knowing the terrain. So once you solve a problem the hard way, many times when you get done, you can figure out, oh, there's a shortcut to that.
Right.
And that's what a lot of experience is.
Yeah.
If you walk into, let's say, a manufacturing company or an assembly line or a lot of those types of jobs, and I did that when I was younger. I spent a summer at an assembly line. But I walked in and I had a good amount of education. I was in college, so I'd taken math, I'd done all this stuff. I go in, and it wasn't until somebody literally sat down and said, don't do it this way. Do
Yeah.
it this way. You're like, oh my God, this is so much easier. Why didn't somebody tell me 6 weeks ago? And they're like, because you were being a jerk.
Because you told that joke. And
Yeah, right. And they're like, I'm not even Spanish. So having that context and knowledge about something is really where the school of experience comes from.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys ever played online poker?
I not for money, but for a period of time I was playing the game.
Okay. That's it. It's interesting when you didn't play it for money. James, you're not a gambler. I know you said
Yeah.
you're not a really gambler.
Not really a gambler. Nope.
Try poker. Because there's another law that goes with that, which is the law of no do-over. That's one of the things you learn with experience, that
Yeah.
many, many times you got one shot.
Yeah. that's a
And
good
so
one.
it comes down to one hand and you either win it or lose it. There's no curve. There's nothing to it. And my experience with poker, when online poker first started happening, I was very, very comfortable at the 50-cent, $1 ante tables playing Texas Hold'em. And I'd do fine, and I'd bet the way I should bet. And I had done a bunch of reading about, what do you do if you have pocket aces and blah, blah, blah. So I was doing fine. Okay, feeling good, because you're supposed to have like a multiple of 50 times up to 100 times what the higher ante is. So I'd be risking maybe $50, maybe $100 at most. I felt good. So I moved to the $2, $4 table. Well, now $100 became $400. I was terrible
Yeah.
at it. because I was so afraid of losing because I knew there was no do-over. I couldn't, it wasn't
Couldn't
academic
take the
anymore.
right risk
Yeah,
that you knew.
And at this stage, if I went and bet and I lost, I couldn't go remake that bet because that money was gone.
Yeah.
That is such a local business thing to experience.
And that's something I see a lot from local business resources and like success influencers who talk, and we've talked about risks and the importance of taking risks, but risks are hard because it means that we, like you said, we might only have one shot at a risk.
Yeah.
And once that's gone, then the landscape changes. We're not in a vacuum. I went to Vegas. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. I lost $50 and I said, all right, that's fine. I get it. But I will say that there is something about poker where you're thrown in there and you're watching other people, you're seeing the way that they react, that you kind of feel like, all right, it's scrappier, it's more intense, but you feel like you're in control of your own destiny because you're reading people.
Well, at least you're not automatically, the odds aren't stacked against you.
Yeah, fair.
That's the main thing.
At least
Main
you're not
difference.
dumping dollar after dollar into a slot machine.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I think those are really my rules, laws. Law of the bruise, till something hurts. You're not. That's one of the things that happens with experience, and that's how you learn. I'm going to call it law of context, that if you understand the context, you can start figuring out shortcuts. You can start figuring out better ways to do things than people that have just an academic appreciation. Law of no do-over, and the law of the false pattern. And those things are just so key for local business owners and for guys like us working at a corporate office, and we talk a lot about these things, but to have that appreciation, that's one of the reasons I like that all of us have small business experience. I know what it is to go and have that order not come in. I know, and I'm like, ooh, it's going to hurt next month. I can't, what do I do now? Yeah, and but also being able to walk in, and especially like with our new loyalty program, I love having the context of knowing that their point of sale system, their Square, their Clover, whatever, if they have a loyalty system associated with that, I love going and having that conversation. I'm like, I know how this works. I'm going to come into your business. I'm going to pick what I want. You didn't have any influence over all that, and at the very end, I'm going to take $5 back from your profits, because that's how their loyalty program works. I just come in and get a surprise. Hey, would you like to use $5? And I love knowing that information so that I can actually talk to people about it, and then we design our solutions around it.